John Carpenter has of course given us many beloved cult and all-time classics such as Halloween, The Thing, They Live, and of course Escape from New York, which would become the only of Carpenter's films that he ended up directing a true sequel to, which would of course become Escape from L.A. Greetings all you movie junkies and entertainment lovers, and welcome to another review. Today we're going to be talking about Escape from L.A.
Welcome to the theater. For everyone's enjoyment, we'd like to remind you of the following rules. No talking, no smoking, no littering, no red meat, no freedom of religion, and remember, all marriages must be approved by the Department of Health. Failure to obey these rules will result in immediate loss of citizenship and deportation to the island of Los Angeles.
Your rules are really beginning to annoy me.
Escape from LA spent time in development for over 10 years, but eventually John Carpenter and Kurt Russell got together to write the script with their longtime collaborator Deborah Hill, taking inspiration from contemporary events in Los Angeles such as the 1994 Northridge earthquake and the 1992 Los Angeles riots, with Carpenter stating that Russell's persistence is what allowed the film to be made at all, since Snake Plissken was a character he loved and wanted to play again. And while the film is a sequel in universe, it's also a spiritual remake at the same time, taking place 16 years after the events of Escape from New York, with Snake Plissken once again getting caught and thrust into the world of Los Angeles, now Los Angeles Island, after an extreme earthquake that cut it off entirely from the mainland, and has now been turned into a maximum security prison. And much like before, there's an extra incentive for Snake to complete his mission because not only will he be free, but they will remove the timed death sentence in the form of a slow-coursing poison that he unknowingly was infected with on his way in. Snake of course ultimately accepts and goes into the prison well armed and with a way to track his target while running into various people who both help and hinder his mission along the way, eventually being captured and put on trial of sorts, similar to the first film except instead of a gladiator duel to the death, it's a basketball game? This film is more or less the exact same plot of the first, except with some minor changes, essentially being a requel before they became popular. This aspect of the film, having very much the same plot outline of the first with some minor differences, has often been highly criticized. But could you not just say that about pretty much every sequel, taking the same idea as the previous film and doing something a little different with it? Now granted, that's no excuse for the film to be less original, but it is at the end of the day a sequel. And while it may have almost the exact same premise as the previous film, it does have a very different tone and vibe, and it's pretty clear that they were kind of lampooning LA culture a little bit here. It's overall a little sillier and more over the top than its predecessor, but despite the slightly more unserious and less grounded tone, it does still have a lot going for it, with a pretty nice updated rendition of the musical score, with Carpenter teaming up with Batman the Animated Series composer Shirley Walker, that gives the film a more orchestral and bombastic score compared to the first film's more minimalistic score, and Kurt Russell pretty effortlessly sinking back into the role of Snake Plissken, and is just as nihilistic and cool as ever.
What do you say we play a little Bangkok rules?
The rest of the cast consists of the likes of Stacy Keach, Cliff Robertson, Peter Fonda, Steve Buscemi, Pam Grier, and Bruce Campbell, who all do a good job of what they're given, but the true menace of the film is the unfortunately dated CG that even for 1996 standards is pretty rough in places. Now I am somebody who has always been very forgiving of that, especially when it comes to films of this era, because I understand that they did the best that they could with what they had to work with at the time. But I also think that that's the main reason that has kept this film back from having more of a resurgence in recent years, because a lot of it does look rough. But at the same time, that's also kind of part of the charm of the film as well. And although the film looks great on 4K, it doesn't really do anything for the already primitive effects. But if you can get past that, Escape from LA is actually a pretty decent sequel overall, with its status of being a carbon copy of the first film being a little unfair. It may not be as good as Escape from New York, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It actually has a pretty great and memorable ending that would have been a neat setup for a third and more original Escape film that unfortunately we will probably never see come to fruition. But overall, although Escape from LA may not quite live up to its predecessor, it is still very much worth a watch and is definitely underrated. Thanks for watching this review. Be sure to subscribe for more videos. Until next time, be sure to consume as much entertainment as humanly possible, and I'll see you in the next video.